A teenage boy once built a working nuclear reactor in his backyard. No lab, no funding, just sheer genius. He tried to recreate the power of the sun, using scraps and junkyard parts. And for one impossible moment, he came close. But what happens when a mind too bright for its time has no one to guide it? This is the story of the boy who built a sun and paid the price for brilliance the world didn't understand. David Charles Hahn wasn't an average kid. Born in 1976 in Michigan, he was curious about how the universe worked, not in the way school books explained it, but how it really worked, deep inside atoms and energy. While other kids played baseball, David was mixing elements in test tubes, keeping a notebook labeled experiments. He had a gift: pattern recognition. He could see cause and effect, structure and reaction. He didn't memorize, he understood. At just 10 years old, he built a homemade chemistry lab. By 14, he was conducting real experiments, safely by his own calculations, but far beyond what any teacher expected. And when he joined the Boy Scouts, he didn't stop at lighting campfires. He earned the Atomic Energy Merit Badge. That badge wasn't enough. He wanted to build what only stars could make: fusion. David had something that defines all true inventors: the ability to see opportunity where others saw waste. He didn't have money, so he used creativity. Smoke detectors became sources of radioactive americium. Lantern mantles yielded thorium. Clock dials gave him radium paint. Scraps of aluminum became makeshift shielding. He taught himself nuclear physics from library books and declassified government papers. He even wrote letters to nuclear research institutions, pretending to be a professor, asking for technical information. And remarkably, they replied. That's not just curiosity. That's applied intellect, research-level determination from a teenager working out of a shed. He was building a neutron source, a device meant to emit high-energy particles, the first step in attempting fusion. It wasn't madness. It was innovation with limited tools. If David Hahn had a lab, a mentor, and safety protocols, he might have been the next Oppenheimer, or the youngest pioneer in fusion energy. One night, in that quiet Michigan backyard, his Geiger counter went wild. His device was alive. He had successfully produced nuclear reactions, measurable neutron activity that confirmed his reactor was working. He did something scientists spend years trying to do: trigger nuclear reactions in a controlled setup, using nothing but scrap and genius. It wasn't full fusion. The temperatures were far too low, but it was the threshold of it. A teenager had built a functioning neutron reactor by himself. That's not a fluke. That's brilliance that crossed boundaries without permission. But his genius didn't come with protection. And soon, the same light he created started to poison the world around him. When police stopped David one night, they found strange materials in his car: lead boxes, instruments, and radioactive samples. The authorities panicked. Soon the FBI, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and EPA were on the scene. Tests showed radiation levels in his shed thousands of times above background. The government called it a hazard zone. Cleanup crews in hazmat suits dismantled everything. The cost? Over $60,000, the price of an idea too far ahead of its maker. David's story spread through newspapers as the Radioactive Boy Scout. The media called him reckless, but none of them understood what he'd actually done. He had built a working nuclear experiment from scratch, something most adults couldn't even explain. He wasn't dangerous because he was evil. He was dangerous because he was brilliant and alone. After the experiment, David's life changed. He joined the Navy, serving aboard the USS Enterprise, one of the world's few nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. A poetic twist for the boy who built his own reactor. He understood reactors better than most sailors, and his intelligence stood out. But discipline, order, and mental strain clashed with his creative chaos. After leaving the Navy, he joined the Marines, but trouble followed. He struggled with mental health, diagnosed with schizophrenia, and later fell into addiction. He was caught trying to remove americium from smoke detectors again, not out of malice, but out of that same unending curiosity. In 2016, David Hahn died at 39, not from radiation, but from a mix of alcohol and painkillers. His father said David never stopped believing he could change the world. But the world stopped believing in him. Every generation has minds like David Hahn, people who think differently, see connections others miss, and chase questions nobody's asking. They are the reason science moves forward, but they're also the ones most at risk when guidance is missing. If David Hahn had the mentorship he deserved, maybe he'd be remembered not as the radioactive Boy Scout, but as the father of homegrown fusion. He didn't fail. He proved that brilliance can come from anywhere, and that the human spirit's thirst for discovery is both beautiful and dangerous. Genius isn't about having the right tools. It's about seeing light where others only see darkness.